Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this program is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and it's coming to you from scenic downtown Woodstock in their educational TV studio behind the community center. It's also coming to you from YouTube on the Thurman Greco Let's Live with Thurman Greco YouTube channel. And this is our second class on with a treatment protocol for people with lower back problems. And the first class that I gave, I offered a simplified handout for working with people who have back issues. And I've thought about it, and I've thought about it, and I really feel like we need we're going to go into this deeper. So this is the second class. We have a lovely model here who has asked that she remain anonymous, and we are going to be working on this for the next hour. If you have purchased a copy of the Healers Handbook and you have the Wellness for All edition, go to page 19 down to the third section, which is symbolic healing. And that's where we're going to start out. That's where we're going to start out on this class. The first thing that we are going to do on this program, Let's Live with Thurman Greco and the Reiki class, is we are going to do an assessment. And I think that's very important because some of us have gone through different healing schools and different modalities, and we have fairly detailed assessments that we make of all of our clients when they come on the table. And others of us do not. I've taken classes where the assessment amounted to zip, and I've gone through other classes where the assessment was pretty detailed. And I think that a detailed assessment is important for this. You don't have to be a Reiki master to do this program. You can be very comfortably using the techniques if you are a Reiki 1. It's not complicated as far as Reiki is concerned, but we need to add some complications so that you can assess your client partner. So the first thing you want to do when the client comes in the door is you want to take a look at how your client is standing and how your client is walking. And you want to take a look at the client from the back. You want to look at your client from the front. You want to look at your client from the sides. And what you're trying to do is assess the vertebrae. You're trying to assess the condition of the spine is what you're trying to do. And it doesn't take an awful lot of rocket science to figure out that your client may or may not be in pain. You can usually figure that one out pretty quickly. And you also need to find out whether the shoulders are level. And you know, it's very common in today's market to have a person next to you who the one shoulder is sticking out 1.5 inches more than the other one. Or another one's got a shoulder that's a couple of inches higher. Or maybe the head isn't quite straight. Or maybe this person's neck isn't moving back and forth. The person is just straight. Or when you turn to the side, you may realize that the head is like this. Or you may realize that the chin is jutting out. You may realize that the ear is one ear is dragging toward the elbow, toward the shoulder. All of these are just things for you to know, because if everything is all lined up, then you probably don't have any spinal issues. So if you have spinal issues, you're going to have some of these problems. You're going to also have very possibly one hip higher or lower than the other one. And you know, people walk around and they think, I've had people, when you start talking to them, they say, well, you know, my left leg is longer than my right leg. Well, maybe the left leg is longer than the right leg, and maybe it's not. A lot of that has to do with the alignment of the spine. Now, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, there was a woman who, by the name of Ida Rolf. And Ida Rolf, you would go see Ida Rolf if your shoulders were not aligned right, or if your neck wasn't straight, or if your hips were, have you ever, of course you don't see that anymore because people get their cars inspected better now. But you used to see trucks where you would realize that they were they were a little crooked as they were coming down the road. The headlights weren't quite right. Well, if you went and saw Ida Rolf, after 12 sessions with Ida Rolf, you were properly aligned. Your shoulders were properly aligned, your elbows were properly aligned, both of your legs had the same length, your hips were, everything was lined up right. And of course, Ida Rolf she doesn't even live, I don't think, anymore. And there are other ways that you can do it now. There's now a massage therapy called construction massage. And there are different ways, there are different things that you can do to align the body. And one of the ways that you can work is you can work with Reiki. And Reiki's gentle, it's easy, it does not hurt you, it's not scary, it's not anything. Because with Reiki, the body begins to align itself as it heals. So we're going to go back here now. We've figured out that we are going to assess the client coming and going and on the side as well. And then, of course, if your client comes into the space, into your healing space, and you realize that person is in pain, then you know to go to page 19 of the Wellness for All book and start asking some of the questions that I have listed for pain management, so that you can get a very intimate picture of what the pain looks like, when it comes, when it goes, how it feels, what does it smell like, all of these different things, which give you a lot of information when you get ready to give a Reiki session. So that's the first part. And you could spend as much, you could spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. You can, as much time as you feel needed to do this assessment. And then you're going to have your client lie face up on the massage table. And now, if you are interested in this, at the last class, I offered a simple 2-page handout, which I still have available if anybody wants to get it. But now I have, for somebody who is a little bit more interested in a handout which is several pages and which does have photographs and all kinds of things. But you can, if you got the 2-page one, you can still use it. If you didn't, you can watch returns of this over and over and over again as much as you want on the YouTube channel. So what you're going to do is you've got a client and they're lying on their back, and you're going to check the length of the legs, and you're going to lift the legs up about 2 or 3 inches, and you're going to look to see, is there one leg that's longer than the other one? And then if you feel that one leg is longer than the other one, you're going to ask your client, is this normal? Is this something that you're always work with, or do you suddenly feel like this leg is attached to your body in a different way? And then the next thing you're going to do is you are going to place your hands under your client's heels and gently rock each leg back and forth. And you're trying to figure out how mobile are the hips. You just want to find out how they work. And if we're not aligned properly, one hip is going to work better than the other one. But just because one hip doesn't work better than the other one, or because it does work better than the other one, doesn't mean that your legs are not aligned properly, your hips are not aligned properly. Because they could be misaligned for many reasons. And they could be functioning one way or another for many, many different reasons. And the next thing that you want to do, you want to rock each of these legs back and forth to check how the hips move. And then you want to check the arch of each foot with your thumb. And then you're going to go along the inside of the foot, right along the arch of the foot with your thumb, and you're going to notice this. Okay? And you may feel that you feel some tightness in one foot, or you may feel some pain at the bottom of the arch. You may even notice, you may say to yourself, this feels like a blockage. Whatever it is. Okay. So you come down to the feet, and now you're going up and down the spine. And this is a reflexology move, by the way. This is the spine, the reflexes on the inside of the foot, along the arch. Okay, now, you're going to go up to the top of the client's head, and you're going to slide your hands under the back. And this is very interesting because you're going to go, it's going to depend upon how far you feel comfortable going down. But you're going to go this way, and you're just going to feel your hands along the way. And you're going to slowly work your way up the backbone. And this is where we're going to bring in the Reiki. This is where we are going to do the chokure, and we're going to do the saheki, and we're going to do the Honshanzei Shonin, and then we're going to do the chokure again. We're going to do a chokure sandwich here, okay? Because we have now pretty well stopped doing the assessment, and we are now beginning to work on Reiki. So, as you have your hands back along the spine, visualize the toxins just leaving the body. Visualize the toxins going out the bottom of the feet. And if you can, see them going out of the left leg, out of the left foot. That's where all of the toxins are going to leave. And you're going up, and you're moving up along the sides of their spine. And you'll feel some heat. You'll feel what you usually feel with Reiki, because now you are now giving a Reiki session. Now, you're going to position yourself so that you have one hand under the base of the neck and one hand under the sacrum. And notice that this client does not have any cover. And your client can be covered. We're just doing this because we have a class going. And you're going to place palm up under the base of the neck, and then the left hand is under the sacrum. And you are going to feel the energy moving. Now, also notice that we have started here on the left side, but you're going to work on both sides. So you're gonna work over here, and then you're gonna go over there. But because of our camera, we're not gonna do that. Now, you can stay here 5 minutes. You can stay here as long as you need to stay. And if you want to, you can do this. You can have one hand under the sacrum and one hand right here. And when you do that now, you're working with your chakras, you're working with energy, and you can do some more chakras here to get things going. I really don't talk about this very much, but I really am partial to chakras. I like to go, if I go into a building and things don't feel quite right, I'll just do a few chakras. And sometimes if I'm going to go into a doctor's office and I don't feel real good about being there, I'll just do some chakras. You know, anytime you feel stressed, you just do some chakras. So you notice we've got one hand underneath on the sacrum and one hand right here, which is really, really nice. Now, after a few minutes, you're going to feel some energy movement. So you're going to feel some movement. And then you're going to go back to the top of your head, and you're going to place your hands under the head, and your fingers are on the occipital ridge. And you need to ask yourself, do both sides of this occipital ridge feel the same way, or does one feel different from the other? And how tight does this feel? So this is another situation where you may be here 5 minutes. You may be here a little bit longer. And then finally, you are going to put some pressure against the bottom of their skull. You're going to lift their chin, and you're going to rock the head from side to side. And this is, you probably had somebody come into your office, into your healing space, whose head didn't go very well from side to side. And here in a very short period of time, you may have coaxed that head into moving a little bit, which is, I just think, fabulous. So you've got this going here. Now I realize that this is happening very fast. This is an 1.5-hour session. And we just don't have an 1.5 hours. We're just doing a little demonstration here. And so, you can order your handouts. Once these go onto YouTube, you can watch this over and over and over again as much as you want. Now, here we've got the head moving. So we've gone like this. So now we've got under the head, and then we've got the hand. The left hand is balancing the neck, and the right hand is got on the shoulder. And you've got a little stretch going there. And you place your right hand on the various muscles, and you just slowly and gently slide your thumb down to the shoulder. So this is one of the ways. And now you're doing this one right now. You've got your left hand here, and with your right hand, you're working on that shoulder. And of course the question is, now wait a minute, did she say this is a lower back? What is this? We're on the shoulder, and she said lower back? Yes. That's because everything goes together on the spine, One vertebrae connected to the other vertebrae. So here we go. We've got the left hand here on the neck, and here we are on the shoulder. And anytime that you go into this session. If things feel a little clogged, you can always just do a few choke arrays, and you can tap a few things and kind of get things moving. So now we were this way, and then I felt some energy coming and a lot of heat. So here we have the right hand up around the neck, and now we're working with the left hand on the shoulders. And you may feel some releases. It may be stubborn here. This may take some time. This may take a couple of sessions. You know, if somebody's back is in a terrible problem, and how could anybody not, under the conditions that we are living now? You know, I'm surprised that we are able to get along as well as we are, because we are under such amounts of stress. And you know, you can always, while you're working on this, and while you're working on the occipital ridge, and while you're working on the neck, you can always breathe into this. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to use some Reiki to make sure that the muscles in this area are not tight. So you can put one hand, let me go around here on this side where it's by the camera. You have one hand over and one hand under, and you just work on this muscle. Oh, that is just, I mean, this is where we carry anger, it's where we carry concern, it's where we feel helpless, it's where we are questioning. You know, you could do this particular Reiki hold for 5 or 10 minutes, and it would be just fine. Or even, you know, this is fine to do this. So here we go. We have done this part, okay, where we have one hand under the back of the shoulder, and then one hand over. And now we are going to take this one hand and we are going to go here. And you're just going to kind of stretch. You're trying to offer a very, very, very gentle stretch. And one of the ways you stretch is you've got one hand. Now you had both hands here. And now you take the hand, depending upon which side of the table you're on, you take the hand and you're going to gently lean into the client. And that you can do this 2 or 3 times. This is a very good thing you can do. Okay. Now you'll do this on the left-hand side, and then you'll do this on the right-hand side. Now, we're working into the lower back now. We are working into the lower back. Once we have one hand up here and one hand up here. One of the things that may happen to you is once you get going here, you may feel some heat. You may feel some tingling. This is a real Reiki session, you know. And now we are going to do this. We've come over here, and you're going to do this from both sides of the body, but we've got the camera, so we're going to do it. We're going to come under here, and we're going to come under here. And we're going to gently, gently, gently And you can stay here. You can stay here at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long. If you realize that you have reached a point where there's a lot of stress, where there is some, right here you were working on this hip, and this is where you have one up higher than the other one. This is where you have some stress. Now, we are not going to go over to the other side, but I am going to repeat this on this side so you can make sure that you have really gotten a picture of what's happening. So we start off with one hand on the back of the shoulder, one hand on the front of the shoulder, and you're gently moving things. You're going to work for about 5 minutes. And then you're going to take this one hand and you're going to go to the knee, and you're just gently, gently, gently going to move this. Because I know, having had back pain, that just sometimes to move something an inch is a lot. That is a lot. And then you're going to go here, and you're going to pull. Now, you are going to place your hand underneath, and you're going to have one hand under the sacrum, and then you are going to, here we go, one hand under the sacrum, and then you're going to work on this again. So we did this here. Now we've come down here, and we have done this. This is a different type of a stretch. It feels like it's the same, but it feels totally different on the body. We did a stretch from the shoulder down to the knee, and then now we have got the sacrum and down to the knee. And this is very, very important. Now, one of the things, this is an aside, you're not going to necessarily see this. If you order this, you can order this, the short handout, to make sure that you have some kind of something to read and look at. I have been very careful to follow this example exactly so that you will not be hearing something and seeing something on the television and then reading something different. That's very important. But one of the things that I think is important to do is very often when somebody teaches us to do Reiki, they talk about you Reiki the front of the body, and then the person turns over and you Reiki the back. We don't do that. I don't do that here. Once I get the person on the table, they pretty well stay. If they get on the table and they're face up, they're comfortable, that's where they stay. And the reason I do that is because I work with both of my hands. I'll put one hand under the spine and one hand over. So that's how I work. That's a little bit different. It's not unorthodox. Nothing that I do is anything that I've made up on my own. I do practice 9 different kinds of Reiki, and I learned this, and I think it's an excellent technique. Now, what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to get back on this table like you are and do a little check-in, because you're going to check in with the shoulders and the neck and check in with how is the energy feeling. Are you feeling any blockages? You want to make sure you've gone part of the way, you've covered a lot of turf, and by now you have been working with this person for almost an hour, very possibly. And you want to make sure that you've got some energy flowing in all directions. And this is really important too, because you're working on the spine. and you've got all these things happening, and you want to feel, okay, I can feel this energy moving. I have got things moving. And this is really important too. Because you know, when the energy starts moving through the body, one of the things that happens is you can feel it. You can feel the energy on the liver. You can feel it. You can feel it. Different parts of the energy moving. You can feel the different chakras are moving. And I think this is so extremely important. You know, check in with the different chakras. You're just kind of like taking a little time out here, and you're going to check into the different parts. You know, because you're doing quite a bit of work on this person. First of all, they had to come in and they had to fess up to having all different kinds of pain, and maybe it was painful just getting out of the car, just getting into your healing space. And I see this in people all the time, and I see this in animals too. You know, when you do canine massage therapy or you do Reiki on animals, a lot of times they are also saying, you know, I'm not all this comfortable here, and here you are poking around and you're finding all these sore spots, and is that something you really want to do? Is that something I really want to do? So you're taking a little time out. Now, here is one of the things that we're going to do right here. We've taken a little time out, and we've got one hand now. You're going to do this on both sides of the person, but we're doing it this way because we're doing the hip, and then we're taking these fingers and we're going right here. And so we've got some energy working on one side of the body going up and down this leg. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now I am going to, because normally the person would go around to the other side of the leg, but I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this. So we're going to have Reiki going to up and down on both sides of the leg. Now, you want to spend some time putting your right hand on the right hip, left hand on the right foot. We've done this. We're going to do this again. We're going to work on these things. We're going to get this energy going. I can see, even though what this model has received, I can already feel that it is different, even though this is something that would normally take an hour and a half, and we're just going through these motions very quickly. I can definitely feel the energy and the heat, and that's important. Now, we're going to come down here to the end of the table, and once you get to this part, if you have done everything and you have followed the directions in both the short form and the long form, if you have any time left over, then I strongly suggest that what you do is you come down to the end of the table and you start working with both feet. Now, I really like to do this. I do this when I work on my clients. This is a time we've got all this energy going and coming, and the body is aligning itself, and your soul is aligning itself, and everything is coming into alignment. And this is a time in which I call it a timeout for 4 or 5 minutes, in which you can just work together. And I try to work what I call knuckle sandwiches onto the bottom of the feet, where you take your knuckles and you go along the bottom of the feet. And since you are working on the spine, you can work along all the vertebrae, and that's right along the arch of the foot, which is a wonderful way to go. And also, you can stretch these legs now. You may not have felt comfortable doing that before, but now that you have done all of this work for the last hour and a half to stretch these legs for a little bit, give them a chance, because now they're coming back into alignment. And you can work on where the toes meet the foot. That's where your neck is. And that's where everyone is in such extreme stress right now. This is where we all hold. This is where the weight of the world, it's on our necks, on our shoulders. And also the shoulders go right under the little toe on both feet. That's where the shoulders are and the arms are. And that's real. I mean, that's not something that people fantasize. That is real. I go to some exercise classes 3 times a week, and you can see the stress that everybody endures from our daily lives, which are not what we thought of as normal. And now for the last couple of years, it's beginning to be normal. And people aren't really sure that they want it to be really normal anymore. So we've got some real issues here. And then here, on the outsides of the feet, we are pinching the outside of the feet, because that's where we get rid of a lot of toxins. So we're kind of doing a foot workout here. And then we do this. And we're going to go over here. And you know, I'm standing here and I feel drawn. I feel like things aren't going to be right if I don't put some Reiki onto the knees. So we're going to put several minutes worth of Reiki onto the knees. And that's something that's fairly common in Reiki sessions. I know that we were taught that in Reiki 1. I don't know what it's been so long, I don't know what they teach in Reiki 1 anymore, or even if they call it Reiki 1. But it's working the knees is so important. You know, we move through life because of our feet. And Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice, I remember so clearly when she was going through the interview process to be a Supreme Court Justice. And she was not happy. She was willing to be a Supreme Court justice, but she just really, to go and meet with all of those senators and all those congressmen and have them ask her questions, and hundreds of interviews is what it amounted to. And she had a person was going with her through the Congress and through the Senate, and they were going from office to office, and she was being led along. And it wasn't long until she broke a foot. And you know, this is what happens. You need a timeout. And pretty soon there she was, Sonia Sotomayor, and she had a boot on, or a cast, and she was hobbling along. And sure enough, she got elected, and she's given it her best shot all these years. But sometimes our daily lives can do that to us. They can just be an awful lot. And I know that there are a lot of people nowadays that have knee problems that did not have knee problems before. It's like it's contagious, the knee problems. And so here we go. Also, we go to the first chakra. And when you feel like it's leveling out, then you go on. And like I said, we're going to do this. We did this. I gave an example. We're going to do this rather than doing the front and then turn the person over. We're doing the front and the back. This is the second chakra. And there's many ways. There are many ways in which we can offer Reiki to people. And I recently was reading a book, and the writer listed all the ways that we were supposed to do a Reiki session and not supposed to do a Reiki session, and they were all conflicting. Mm-hmm. So that one teacher says, well, you got to do it this way, and no, you can't do it that way. You got to do it some other way, and no, you can't do it that way. And before it was all over with, I was kind of chuckling to myself, because some people think that if you wear belts and jewelry, that you should remove your belts and jewelry. Well, I don't, if an emergency comes along, you don't have to take off your belts and jewelry. So if you don't have to take off your belts and jewelry, then you don't have to take off your belts and jewelry now. So here we have, and there's also whether or not you touch, and how comfortable you are with touch. As a massage therapist, I'm very comfortable with touch, but some people are not. So if you're not comfortable with touch, then don't touch. Hold your hand an inch or 2 inches above. You're going to be just as effective as with touch as you are with not touch. The Reiki's going to do its job no matter what, which is a wonderful thing. And I will say this, that if you can pay attention, and it's hard sometimes, because sometimes there's a lot going on in the room while you're trying to give a Reiki session, and sometimes there's just a lot going on, period. And if you can pay attention, you will notice at the end of the session that the person to your touch feels very, very different. And I think that's great. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. So I want to take a minute now at the end of the session I want to take a minute here to, if you'd like to get one of these handouts, if you'll send me $5, and I start off by sending it to thurmangreco@gmail.com. Just send me an email, and then we'll trade addresses and things, and I will definitely send you this. They're $5. And realize that you don't have to. If you don't have to have this, if you work mostly by sound and you don't necessarily work by visual, then you can go to Let's Live with Thurman Greco /Reiki and bring up the Reiki session. And I've got, this is the second one. There is another one which may be up there, I don't know. I'm not the one that puts them up, so I don't know, but they do come up regularly. And you can watch it, there's no cost, you can watch it as often as you'd like to watch it, there's no charge. There is one reflexology for the spirit video which you can download, and we do ask for a donation of $2. If you don't want to give a donation of $2, you do not have to. That's not our intention. We're not trying to break the bank. The people who did it received no money in return, and did not expect any. But it's a really nice tape if you'd like to learn some more about reflexology. And in the meantime, we're very happy for you to come and watch any Let's Live with Thurman Greco YouTube shows that you'd like to watch, because we do have several with Reiki. And once again, I thank you very much, and I thank you so much, Ellen. This is fabulous.
Thank you.
Yes, we think it's great. You treat us so well every week. Thank you very, very much.